Here it is, already into week 4. Today is Tuesday. I'm sure that you've already started looking at the resources and activities for this week, so I want to spend just a few minutes talking about those. I hope, by the way, that you're finding some good purpose and meaning for your journey as you work through those various activities. From your thoughtful work and discussion, I'm pretty sure that you're all finding the course to be both challenging and helpful, meaningful, I hope. Before going any further, call your attention to this. Let me make clear again that we're not doing any online synchronous sessions during the course of this course. There is one call for this week. I've incorporated some of that into the regular discussion for the week, and so we will not have that kind of face-to-face conversation, although I'm sure that would be nice. You get to see me, I don't get to see you. The regular discussion for this week 4 continues our thinking together about heroes, and ask you to do some bigger picture thinking today about the 3 films, to reconnect with all 3 of them that you've looked at, written about, and thought about. But before you develop your response to the discussion questions, I want to really encourage you to watch. There's a PowerPoint presentation, a recorded PowerPoint presentation called The Archetype of the Hero. An archetype is a pattern. And I think if you spend some time, well, I know if you spend some time looking at that video, it will really help you to respond to the questions that we are asking you to deal with this week in discussion. I have also added for your viewing pleasure, these are not required, but they really connect to our discussion and to the archetype of hero. So I've added a couple of clips from one of my favorite movies, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. If you haven't seen it, you might want to watch the whole thing. But for this assignment, it's not an assignment, but for this discussion, you might find time to take a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes at most, and watch these 2 clips. They're really added for the fun of it, but they really do connect well with the discussion. Be sure to watch them in the order they are on Moodle. The first is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade trials scene, followed by Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade choosing well. It's about a significant choice Indiana has to make. The third installment of your life map also takes place in week 4. Its theme is spirituality. Now, spirituality can sometimes be kind of a vague term, so I want to provide a little additional help for you that will maybe make it possible for you to engage this a little more personally and specifically. First, spirituality is a generic term. Therefore, it's broad and often not very helpful. We often confuse religion and spirituality, and there is, or at least there can be, a connection. But it may be helpful to understand that while all religions have a spirituality, or maybe even more than one spirituality, but not all spiritualities are connected to a religion. So usually we talk about Christian spirituality or Buddhist or Muslim spirituality. However, in general, here's a helpful way of thinking about it provided by the University of Maryland Medical Center. Spirituality includes these kinds of definitions: a belief in a power, a higher power, a greater than us power operating in the universe, or a sense of the interconnectedness of all living creatures, all animals and humans, but maybe all of nature, an awareness of the purpose and meaning of life, something beyond myself, or the development of personal absolute values, my own morality, my own sense of how you live in the world. Now, it can be one of those, or it can be all of those, or you understand. And it's the way you find hope and meaning, purpose, inner peace in your life. Although spirituality is often associated with the religious life, many believe that a personal spirituality can be developed outside of religion. Acts of compassion, acts of selflessness, altruism, and the experience of inner peace are all characteristics of spirituality. Some would say that worldview is another way of talking about spirituality, the way I live in and consider the world that I live in and the others that I find along my way. I hope that helps you think a little bit more about this kind of difficult topic. This week also will end our exploration of significant philosophers. One of my favorite writers, Thomas Cahill, talks about moments in history as hinge moments, moments when civilization goes through something fundamentally different, a worldview shaking change. After this happens, we can no longer think about things the way we've thought about them. I think that's a good way to think about each of the persons that we've considered during this course. The two that we come to today are the ones most nearest to us in time. Descartes and Sartre. René Descartes and Jean-Paul Sartre, both Frenchmen, both kind of bookends to the 20th century, we might say. We enter the modern era with Descartes. Some call Descartes the father of modernism. Sartre is an existentialist, and you will find a chart on Moodle that you will use to fill out work on both of them. The way these two men approach philosophy is fundamentally different than the way we saw Aristotle and Plato and Moses and Jesus. There are some basic fundamental differences that have shaped the way we think about who we are and the world we live in. I'll be interested in hearing your thoughts about them. By the way, in spirit of honesty and full disclosure, we've discovered that one of the videos on Sartre talks about his last-minute conversion to Christianity. That is a fabrication. It's not true to the best of historians' ability to determine that. Not sure how this got into the video, and we are going to be replacing it, but for now, simply disregard it. Finally, I want to take just a minute before I end and talk to you about a major event of week 5. There's not as much work to do for week 5, and that's because there's a fairly significant personal assignment that is part of that. We're also going to drop the synchronous sessions, so pay attention to that, and I'll be talking to you more about that when we get there. But the focus for week 5 is kind of so what, okay? Be sure to look ahead. Think about the assignment titled Personal Ontological Presentation. This is a very important final project. I encourage you to check it out as soon as possible, and if you have questions, ask them early. Well, that's enough, and that's a lot. Talk with you soon. Keep up the really good work.